Hello and welcome to How Church Works. This is Scott Wylie and I'm here with Joseph Scarfone. And Joseph, we're practicing social distancing.
That's right. We sure are.
Yeah, so I'm here at my home and you're at home too, right?
Absolutely in the office.
Yep, using Zoom to record this. Today was the third Sunday that we had to not gather for church.
It was really difficult to not be at church. It's something that's weighing heavy on my heart.
Our pastor reminded us in our message today how much he's longing for the opportunity to regather, and I feel the same way.
It seems like everyone that I talk to can't wait to get back to church. It's one of those things that we might have taken for granted. And now that we're not able to meet, we are just hopeful to get back to spending time with each other in the presence of the Lord.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Joseph, today we're going to talk about a food drive, running a food drive, because one of the things that you did shortly after the COVID-19 pandemic started to impact life in our area of the country was launch a food drive and a food pantry at our church. So we're going to talk about that. Let's kind of begin by going back to the roots of how this whole thing began.
Well, it started because we have a partnership with a school called Yates Mill Elementary. And as part of that partnership, we've been looking to get into the neighborhoods there and find ways to spend time with the kids and really impact them. And just as that was about to get started, the pandemic hit and put that operation on hold.
One of the things that was true in our area that's probably also true in other parts of the nation as well is that many school children relied on being in school for part of their nourishment. They were getting a hot meal, and in some cases, the only hot meal of their day.
That's right. There are a lot of children that have what is called food insecurity, where they're not able to have meals provided for them, and the school often would provide those meals. In addition to what they would get at school, there are programs where they would take food home over the weekend. And there's a program at Yates Mill called the Backpack Buddy program where kids would have food over the weekend.
So, did the school reach out to you regarding doing a food drive?
As the pandemic was going on, I reached out to the school to see if there was any way that we could help. And they let me know that Wake County Public Schools was looking for distribution centers of food. And it turns out that the closest one at the time to Yates Mill was 14 miles away. So I thought immediately, boy, it would be great for us to be able to provide for those in our community.
So Joseph, if a pastor or church leader was listening to this and wondering, how in the world do you possibly even start something like this? Where did, what was like step one, step two? How did this unfold?
So for me, it was just seeing what was the immediate need. With talking to the school, they wanted to make sure that we got the right kind of food to them, being non-perishable items. So I just started with a simple list. And from that list, I began to think, what's the most effective way to get this information out to people? And I began to email and talk to some friends that I have at church, some people that are connected, and then ultimately thought that this would be something that we can communicate to the whole church as part of our partnership.
And did the church respond?
Absolutely. This is the kind of thing that Colonial Baptist Church wants to be part of. It not only helps with our partnership with Yates Mill, but it's really bigger than that. It's part of the Wake County School District. So in partnering with the school and the school district, we have an opportunity to reach many more families.
As you communicated this internally, you started to make the church aware that this opportunity exists, that there is a need. And then how did the food collection come about? How did that work?
So what we did is decide a good time that we believe people would be able to get to the church, and we created a drop off and pickup time of 1 to 3 p.m. And we sent out a list as part of the introduction to the church, letting them know about the ministry of just a simple sign up genius. And we had 6 slots per day so that we could make sure that we're staying within the less than 10 at church mandate. And that was filled up within 3 hours. The church responded quickly, and all those slots are filled up until April 10th.
Because of the pandemic and because all of our church programs were canceled, we actually had an entire building that we weren't using. We're coming in on Sunday mornings and doing a live stream from there, but essentially everything has shut down during the week. So you just took over space.
That's right. We took one of the areas that was closest to a main entrance and we created a drop-off system similar to a drive-through where people would be able to stay in their vehicles. Once they come through, we would identify where the food is, and then we would take those items from them and begin to collect them, separate them inside the building, and get them ready for distribution.
And so when people come from the community to pick up food, the same process takes place. They can just stay in their vehicles.
That's right. Whenever they come up, we will ask if they're dropping off or picking up, and they'll let us know. And if they're picking up, we'll deliver them food based off of the size of their family. If it is a family of 4, they will get 2 bags, and we will add a bag for every person in addition to that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Joseph, we'll talk. I think we should probably explore on another podcast this whole partnership that you have launched with this school. But in what ways are you able to pursue gospel ministry through this, considering the fact that you're actually partnering with a public school as part of this?
We have a complete opportunity to share the gospel with anyone that comes to us, since this is not on school property and this is on our property. We have a little bit more freedom. The people that have come have been very receptive. I've had an opportunity to pray with every family that has received food from us, and it's been a great blessing to me. I had an opportunity to share with a woman who told me that no one has ever prayed for her, and that just gripped my heart. This woman was in her vehicle with 6 kids, and her entire life period, no one has ever prayed for her.
We're here in North Carolina. We're recording this on Sunday, March 29th. And tomorrow at 5 p.m., a statewide stay-at-home mandate goes into effect for our entire state. My thinking, Joseph, is that people are going to be experiencing a loss of work. People are going to start to experience more financial strain. Do you anticipate sustaining this for as long as the crisis remains?
I believe that that's what we're going to try to do. We want to make sure that we can provide this for families in need. We've also had people from outside of the church respond in wanting to help with food and also with delivery once that starts.
I know that long term, eventually, we're going to probably take that space back for its normal purpose. So we may not be a church that has a food bank on its property permanently, but for now, we have an opportunity, and it sounds like it's meeting a really critical need.
That's right. There are definitely people in our community that need help, and I believe that this is a great way to provide that help, share the love of Christ, and really give them an opportunity to see Christ's love in action. Let me also mention that we're waiting to hear back from the counselor at Yates Mill School. They're going through a process right now of seeking approval from families that they've identified as families in need. And once those families give approval, we'll be able to deliver food directly to their house. I believe this will be a way for us to connect with those families in their own area and meet a need that they certainly have.
Got it. So the school is trying to respect the privacy of those families, get their permission first. And if they get it, they're going to give you addresses and you can deliver food right to their door.
That's exactly right. What we're finding out is that a lot of the families that have needs don't have a way to get to church. So we want to make sure that we bring the food to them.
Joseph and I would love to hear what's going on in your church as you respond to the COVID-19 crisis in your area. Send an email to howchurchworks@gmail.com. Or if you have a question for Joseph and I, something you'd like us to discuss on a future podcast, or if you'd like more information about how to launch a food drive at your church. Thanks for listening today. Join us next time for How Church Works.